I just wanted to take a few moments to respond to this comment in a little bit more detail because it had something relevant on there, and I just really wanted to share my own personal experience of it because I thought that it might be helpful for other people. So this particular comment was left in relation to a post I did about the fact that you don't have to have a teaching qualification in order to home educate your children, even though lots of people are maybe put off doing home education or homeschooling because that's what they believe. But in relation to the comment, you can see there that it says about how, I've had these comments from some family members, but now I just kind of ignore them. And it was really that point that I wanted to pick up on and expand a little bit about, because I've shared one of my experiences about negativity towards our decision to home educate in one of my blog posts before. And when I popped that blog post on some of the forum sites so that other home educators and homeschoolers could read it, they were actually quite shocked, and I did get quite a few comments saying, oh my goodness, as if this kind of really happened. So it can be really hard. So when we're talking about family members and friends in particular, I think sometimes we do look towards those people to kind of be supportive and really validate our choice to home educate or homeschool, because I think once we kind of get that validation from those people who we trust, it kind of reinforces to us the fact that we're maybe doing the right thing. So it can be really hard when somebody who's close to you or who you really value their opinion maybe says, actually, I'm not really in favour of this. And I did have that situation with some family members. And I came away from it feeling a little bit deflated. But one thing to remember when we're talking about close family and people's whose opinions you value is that nothing has changed within that time that they give you that opinion. So you've based your decision, your lifestyle choice to home educate on fact, because nobody other than you lives in your house 24/7 and is fully armed with all of the information that you've needed to make that decision. In those few moments that that family member or those friends are giving you their opinion and maybe being a little bit negative, that doesn't change the facts. It doesn't change what you've based your decision on. Obviously, if they bring something up that you think, oh, well, actually, that's a really valid point, I never thought about it, then you would go away and reevaluate it and then make a decision based on that. But 9 times out of 10, I think when we decide to home educate or homeschool, we do kind of cover absolutely all bases plus some before we go ahead and make that decision, and certainly before we start telling people. So even though you don't have that approval from others to do it, it really shouldn't change your decision, because as you are not in their life 24/7, and it wouldn't be right for you to influence or change a decision that they'd made, nor is it right that you should be influenced and changed your decision just based purely on someone else's opinion. So that's when we're dealing with people who, as I say, are quite close to us, but which I had. But my other experience was just really to show that it really doesn't matter if people know you or don't know you, because as soon as your child gets to compulsory school age, every single person and their dog suddenly takes an interest in what you're going to be doing for the next 14 years, what provisions you're going to be making educationally for your children. And even though it's absolutely nothing to do with them, some people just can't help themselves but to stick their nose in and give their opinion. Now, while we did have some positive comments, which was really nice, the one that I'm going to be sharing with you today was negative, to say the very least. So we had decided to home educate our daughter when she was 4.5, and my partner had taken her to the hairdressers. and they'd been and had their hair cut, and he'd come home and he was telling me how the hairdresser had been saying about school and things, and he'd been telling her how we would decided to home educate, and she was really supportive, she was really lovely, and she was really interested, and they had a really good chat. Fast forward, I don't know, a few days, a week maybe, and I'd gone to the supermarket with my daughter, I'd done my big shop, and I was on my way back to the car, and I heard somebody like trying to get my attention from like the other side of the car park, and I turned, and my daughter was it's actually physically like sat in the trolley, so I'm like pushing her along, and this woman who I'd never seen before in my entire life grabbed hold of like my arm, like here, as I was like pushing the trolley, and she said, "Are you this child's mother?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, thank goodness." She said, "I need to appeal to you to change your mind for the best for your children. I was in the hairdressers the other day, and I overheard, I presume who was the child's dad, telling the hairdresser that you decided to home educate." She says, I'd seen your daughter, and I recognised her." She said, "And I just wanted to tell you that you've made the wrong decision, and if you do this and if you go ahead with this, you're going to ruin her start in life." And I couldn't speak. I was literally mute. I was so shocked. My daughter, bless her, was sat in the trolley like looking at this woman as in, what the hell? And she said, "I'm a head teacher and I've taught children all my life, and I'm telling you now that if you home educate her, she'll fall behind, she won't get the qualifications that you need, and I'm literally begging you as her mother to reconsider this decision and go home and discuss it with her dad, because you've made the wrong decision, you've made the wrong choice." And she still had hold of my arm at this point, and I literally like prized her hands off my arm. And I think I said something like, "Oh yeah, thanks, or something." And I just like walked away, and I was half in tears, but then obviously I didn't want my little girl to see that I was upset. And what annoyed me about this more than anything, and what still annoys me about it now, because I've never seen this woman before, ever, I couldn't tell you her name, I don't know who she was, is that when we were walking to the car, my daughter said, "Mummy, are we going to get into trouble if I do school at home? Will we get into trouble? Will the police come?" And I was like, no, absolutely not. Just ignore the lady, just, ignore her. And I kind of brushed it off. But then afterwards, I thought the irony of that situation was that there she was telling me as a head teacher that she knew what was right for my child, and she knew that the school environment would be beneficial to her. And by the same token, when it came to one of the first encounters my daughter had had with education or school or teachers, she was imposing this really negative kind of attitude and view, and she frightened my little girl. She was frightened because she thought we were going to get into some sort of trouble. Now obviously I came home and I calmed down and I rang my partner, and he was shocked as well, but it never influenced my decision. I never factored it in. I mean, obviously at the beginning you do think, oh, maybe you do know something I don't, and and it is really difficult. But I would definitely just wanted to make this video to say to anybody that it can be really hard in the beginning, but please don't let other people influence your decision. Please don't let other people, their negative opinion and their negative outlook make you look upon something quite negatively, because you could be missing out on the opportunity to do something really, really good.